Let me tell you something right off the bat. Respect ain't something you buy, and it sure ain't something you beg for. Respect is earned, and the price you pay for it is who you are every single day. Some folks think it's about being loud, bossy, or always having the last word.
Nah.
That's not respect, that's just noise. See, people might hear you when you talk like that, but they don't listen. And when they stop listening, you've already lost. The truth is, respect is like a mirror. Whatever you put in front of it is exactly what's coming back to you. Walk into a room like you belong there, and people feel it. Speak to someone like they matter, and you matter more to them. Carry yourself with a certain standard, and folks can't help but adjust how they treat you. I'm talking about little things that change the game. The way you stand, the way you look people in the eye, the way you listen without cutting them off. These are not just manners. These are power moves in disguise. Now, here's the kicker. Respect is quiet. You'll never have to scream for it. In fact, the moment you start chasing it, it runs. But when you own who you are, when you know your value, it shows up without you asking. And psychology's got some powerful truths about why that happens. 5 of them to be exact. 5 little secrets that, if you start using today, will change how people see you tomorrow. I'm about to walk you through them. And if you lean in, listen close, and let these sink in, you won't have to fight for respect ever again. It'll find you. Every single time. Respect starts before you even open your mouth. The truth is, people form an opinion of you in seconds, sometimes before you even have the chance to introduce yourself. That's human nature. The brain is wired to scan for signals, posture, expression, energy, all before it even processes what you're saying. So, you could be the smartest person in the room, have the best ideas, be the most talented, but if you walk in like you're apologizing for existing, you've already lost half the room. It's not fair, but it's real. And when you understand that, you stop leaving those first impressions to chance. The way you carry yourself tells the story before you speak a word. Think about the last time you met somebody and instantly respected them. What was it? Maybe it was the way they stood tall. Maybe it was the calm confidence in their face. Maybe it was that steady handshake that felt like they meant it. Whatever it was, it made you pay attention. That's not an accident, that's presence. Presence isn't about being flashy or loud. It's not about walking in like you own the place and trying to dominate the room. No, true presence is quiet confidence. It's when you know who you are and you're not trying to convince anybody of it. It's the kind of energy that says, I belong here, without you having to say a word. People feel that before they even decide to respect you. Now, I've met folks who think they've got to fake it. Chest puffed out, voice louder than everybody else, wearing the most expensive thing in the room. But here's the thing. People can smell fake confidence from a mile away. You don't need to pretend to be bigger than life. What you need is to be comfortable in your own skin. When you're not overcompensating, people can relax around you, and ironically, that makes them respect you more. And don't underestimate the little details. The way you stand says everything. Slouched shoulders. People read that as insecurity or disinterest. Chin tucked down, avoiding eye contact, they'll think you're unsure or maybe even hiding something. But stand tall, shoulders back, make genuine eye contact, and you've already set the tone that you respect yourself. And people naturally mirror that. Even your pace matters. Rush in, fumbling, looking scattered, and people will pick up on that energy. Move with intention, and they'll match it. I remember one time I watched a young man walk into a meeting full of executives. He was the youngest in the room, didn't have the fancy suit, didn't have years of experience. But the moment he stepped in, he paused, took a breath, looked each person in the eye, and smiled. He didn't rush to sit down, didn't fidget with his clothes. He just belonged. By the time he spoke, everyone was already leaning in. He hadn't even said anything yet, but the way he carried himself had already earned him a seat at the table. That's how powerful your physical presence is. Here's another thing. Respect isn't just about looking confident. It's about being aligned with your values. People can tell when your body language matches your character. If you walk tall, but your actions are shady, that image crumbles fast. Carrying yourself with respect means more than just posture. It's the way you greet people, the way you acknowledge them, the way you hold space in a conversation without making it all about you. Think about it. When someone walks in and actually pays attention to others, not just themselves, it shifts the whole atmosphere. They aren't just demanding respect, they're giving it. And that's the thing about respect. It's reciprocal. If you treat people like they matter, they'll treat you like you matter. That starts before the first word leaves your mouth. And let me be real with you. Sometimes carrying yourself well is hard. Life knocks you down, situations shake your confidence, and you start to shrink without even realizing it. You stop making eye contact. You speak softer, you hesitate more. But that's exactly when you need to double down on how you present yourself. Because here's the truth. The world won't always know what you're going through, but it will react to what you show them. If you let every setback change how you walk, talk, and hold yourself, you're handing your power away. It's not about pretending you don't have problems. It's about refusing to let them define your presence. Some of the strongest, most respected people I've met were going through storms you couldn't imagine. But you'd never know it because they refused to carry that weight in their posture. They showed up as the best version of themselves, no matter what was happening behind the scenes. And people respected them for it, not because they were perfect, but because they were steady. So before you think about the perfect thing to say, before you plan the smartest point to make, before you try to win the room with your words, start with how you carry yourself. Because respect doesn't begin when the conversation does. It begins the moment you step into the space. The silent signals you send in those first few seconds set the foundation for everything that comes next. If you respect yourself enough to stand tall, to be present, and to show people you value the space you're in, they'll feel it, and they'll respond to it. The way you listen can earn more respect than the way you talk. That sounds almost backwards to some people, because we live in a world where everybody's trying to be heard. Everybody's got something to say, something to post, something to prove. But let me tell you, talking might get you noticed, but listening is what makes people truly respect you. Because when you listen, you're telling someone, I see you, I hear you, you matter. And deep down, that's what every human being wants. Now, most folks don't actually listen. They just wait for their turn to talk. You've been in those conversations before. You can see it in their eyes. While you're speaking, they're not really taking in what you're saying. They're just loading up their next point, like they're in some debate competition. And when you run into that kind of person, how much respect do you have for them? Not much, right? Because it feels like they're more interested in winning the conversation than understanding you. Real listening takes patience. It takes putting your ego on pause. It means letting someone finish their thought without jumping into fix it or top it. And here's the crazy thing. People can feel it instantly when you're genuinely tuned into them. Your body language changes. Your eyes stay on them. Your shoulders are open. You're not glancing down at your phone or scanning the room for somebody. More important. That kind of focus is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. There's a certain kind of magic that happens when you're the person who actually hears people. They start opening up more. They start trusting you. They start respecting you, not because you said something amazing, but because you gave them space to say what they needed to say. And that's something most people don't give. I remember talking to this older gentleman once. He was telling me about his business, the struggles he went through, the mistakes he made. I didn't interrupt. I didn't throw in my advice halfway through. I just listened, asked a few questions here and there, and let him finish. When he was done, he looked at me and said, I talk to people all the time, but you're the first person in a while who actually listened to me. And just like that, a connection was built. Not because I had something brilliant to say, but because I cared enough to hear him out. Listening also changes the way people see you in group settings. In a meeting, for example, everybody's eager to make their point, to prove they're the smartest one in the room. But when you listen first, you get the full picture before you speak. And when you finally do share your thoughts, people lean in more because they've noticed you weren't just talking to hear your own voice. You've been absorbing, processing, and now you're contributing with purpose. That kind of timing makes your words land harder. It's also about respect in reverse. When you listen, you're giving respect first. And when people feel respected, they naturally give it back. Think about the last time you were talking to someone who was fully locked in on you, no distractions. How did you feel about them afterwards? That feeling is exactly what you give to others when you listen well. And here's a little truth most folks don't realize. Listening isn't passive, it's active, it's work. You have to be present. You have to catch not just the words, but the tone, the pauses, the little changes in their voice. Sometimes what people mean is hidden between the lines of what they say. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But if you do catch it, if you respond in a way that shows you understood not just their words, but their feelings, that's where respect deepens. One thing I've learned is that the more you listen, the less you misunderstand. So many conflicts, so many broken relationships, so many missed opportunities happen because someone didn't listen. Not really. They assumed. They guessed. They twisted words to fit their own story. But when you take the time to truly hear someone out, you're building a bridge instead of a wall. And bridges get you respect. Walls just keep you isolated. Listening also humbles you. It reminds you that you don't know everything, that there's wisdom in every person you meet if you're willing to hear it. I've learned things from people I least expected, all because I shut my mouth and opened my ears. And you'd be surprised how much people will give you in return when they realize you value what they have to say. But let's be real, listening isn't always easy, especially when you disagree. That's when your patience gets tested. Because when you're listening to something you don't agree with, your brain wants to jump in and defend your point. It wants to argue. But if you can hold back, if you can let them finish, you show them something rare, that you can respect a person even when you don't share their opinion. And that's a powerful kind of respect because it's not based on agreement, it's based on humanity. So many people think the secret to being respected is saying the right thing. But often, the real secret is giving other people the chance to say what's on their mind and proving you value it enough to listen without rushing them. That's the kind of thing people remember. Long after they forget your exact words, they'll remember how you made them feel heard. And once you've given someone that feeling, you've already earned their respect. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors you control. That's something a lot of people get wrong. They hear the word boundaries and think it means shutting people out, cutting people off, or putting up these big, cold barriers. But that's not what boundaries are about. Boundaries are about deciding who and what you allow into your space, and on what terms. It's not about isolation, it's about respect for yourself, for your time, and for your energy. The truth is, people will treat you how you let them treat you. If you never set limits, some folks, not all, but some will take as much as you give and then some more. And it's not always because they're bad people. Sometimes they don't even realize they're crossing a line. That's why it's on you to make those lines clear. When you respect your own limits, other people will learn to respect them too. Boundaries are like a front door to your life. You get to decide who walks in, who stays outside, and who only gets to talk to you through the screen. Some people you let all the way in because they've earned it. Others you keep at a polite distance because you know their energy drains you. That's not being mean, that's being wise. Because every yes you give without thinking is a no to something else you could be doing that matters more. I've seen people with no boundaries burn out faster than a cheap light bulb. They say yes to every request, they answer every call, they respond to every little problem like it's their job to fix it. And at first, they seem helpful, dependable, even admirable. But over time, they start feeling resentful. They start losing energy, losing focus, losing themselves. Why? Because they kept their door wide open, and now their house is crowded with other people's problems. On the flip side, I've seen people mistake walls for boundaries. They've been hurt before, so they shut everyone out. No one can get close. No one can challenge them. No one can connect with them. Sure, they're safe, but they're also alone. Respect isn't built in isolation. People don't respect you just because you're hard to reach. They respect you when they see you know your worth and still know how to connect with others without letting them trample over it. The beautiful thing about real boundaries is that they teach people how to treat you without you having to constantly defend yourself. You set them once, you stick to them, and over time people learn, this is how they operate, and I can either respect it or lose access. And that's the power of a door. You can open it, close it, or lock it depending on the situation. It's not always easy, though. Setting boundaries will make some people uncomfortable. If they're used to you always saying yes, always making yourself available, they won't like it when you start saying no. They might even try to guilt you into going back to your old ways. But here's the thing, if someone's respect for you depends on you exhausting yourself for their benefit, that's not respect. That's convenience. And you're not here to be somebody's convenience. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, no, I can't do that. Or I'm not available for that right now. And you don't have to give a long explanation. In fact, the more you over-explain, the more you give people room to negotiate your boundaries. A clear, calm no is a lot stronger than a shaky, apologetic yes. And when you start speaking like that, you'll notice something. People begin to take your time more seriously. And here's the real kicker. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to other people. They're also about saying no to yourself. You've got to have limits on your own bad habits, your own distractions, your own impulses. You can't expect other people to respect your time if you don't respect it yourself. If you say your workday ends at 6, but you keep answering emails at midnight, you're telling people you don't mean what you say. Boundaries are as much about self-discipline as they are about protecting yourself from others. The most respected people I know aren't the ones who are constantly available. They're the ones who are intentional with their time. When they're with you, they're present, they're engaged. But when they're not, you understand that it's their time and you don't take offense. And the reason you understand is because they've been consistent about it from day one. Here's the thing, you can be generous, loving, and giving and still have strong boundaries. In fact, boundaries make your generosity more meaningful. Because when you give from a place of choice, not obligation, it comes with a different kind of energy. People can feel when you want to be there versus when you feel trapped into being there. And when you choose to be there, your presence carries more weight, more value, more respect. Boundaries also set the tone for your relationships. They show people you value yourself enough to protect your peace. And that's attractive, not in a romantic sense, though it can be, but in a human sense. People gravitate toward those who know their worth because it makes them feel safe. It's like walking into a well-kept home. You instantly feel there's order, care, and intention here. That's what boundaries do for your life. You've got to remember, at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you. If you don't want people barging in at all hours, you've got to lock the door sometimes. If you don't want people talking to you a certain way, you've got to speak up the first time it happens. If you don't want your time wasted, you've got to stop giving it away so freely. That's not selfish, that's self-respect. And respect always starts with you. Consistency builds trust, and trust earns respect. You can be talented, you can be charming, you can have all the right words. But if people can't count on you, all of that fades fast. Respect isn't just about a single great moment. It's about showing up in a way people can depend on again and again over time. Because when people know what to expect from you, they start to trust you. And when they trust you, respecting you becomes almost automatic. See, anyone can impress somebody once. You can have one good speech, one good idea, one good performance. But consistency is about proving that it wasn't a fluke. It's about showing that who you are on your best day is pretty close to who you are on your average day. Because here's the thing, people watch for patterns. They notice if you're reliable. They notice if you keep your word. And they notice just as quickly if you don't. Think about someone you respect deeply. Chances are they've been consistent with you. They didn't just show up when it was easy. They showed up when it was inconvenient, when it was messy, when it required effort. That's when consistency really matters, when it costs you something. Anybody can be dependable when it's convenient for them. But when you push through, even when it's hard, that's when people start to say, okay, this person's the real deal. And here's the part a lot of people miss. Consistency isn't about perfection. You're going to have off days. You're going to make mistakes. But the key is your overall pattern still shows dependability. If you mess up, you own it. If you can't deliver, you communicate. People respect that because it shows integrity. You're not pretending to be flawless, but you are showing that you care enough to be accountable. I've seen folks burn themselves out trying to be everything